So Time's Up supposed to be like a New Year's Eve slasher, is that correct?
You're right. Yes, it's set on New Year's Eve. A slasher film, a whodunit, uh, written by myself from a story conceived by Damian and I, co-produced by Damian and I, directed by Corey Norman. Great cast, music by Alexander Taylor. But yes, it is set on New Year's Eve primarily.
That's awesome. I like holiday horror.
It is true. It is true. It's yeah, you know, it will be I guess the high bar there for the slasher films is one set on holidays, is that people kind of work it into seasonal rotations. And New Year's Eve doesn't have too much. You know, there's Terror Train and New Year's Evil, if you dare watch that thing. So, I mean, it does take place on New Year's Eve, but, you know, that's not like, you know, it's not a gimmick part of it. You know, it's not like just like, yeah, man, you know, let's capitalize on New Year's Eve, because it's not really I don't know. Do people feel like, oh, it's New Year's Eve, I feel like watching New Year's Eve movie? I don't know.
I'm just down to watch a horror movie whenever.
But, yeah, I mean, right. You want to, you know, hopefully it'll fall into that, because you know, Christmas decorations stuff are still usually up around that time. So, you know, maybe it'll fit into that holiday, the Christmas rotation too, because, you know, we'll have a Christmas tree and some Christmas decorations up as well.
Yeah, it all kind of blends in together between New Year's Eve and Christmas. It's a holiday film. It's a glorious holiday film with blood and guts and all kinds of horrific things happening to people who may or may not deserve it. Everything you'd want in a slasher film.
Right. That sounds like the best kind.
That's so true. It is everything you could possibly want, I think.
And it's got great acting in it. I mean, not to toot our own horns. I mean, Damien and I are in it, but there's also a lot of other great people. Hannah Fierman is in it from VHS and Siren, The Vampire Diaries. Felissa Rose, of course, most everyone knows Felissa from Sleepaway Camp, amongst many other films. David E. McMahon, Camara Cole. There are a lot of great actors. Dave Sheridan from Ghost World and The Devil's Rejects and Scary Movie. So, yeah, it's got a real fun cast as well, bringing this whole thing to life.
I think that's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah. You'll have a bunch of various.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, you want characters. I mean, you don't have to. Obviously, there's a lot of slasher movies out there that, you know, just kind of give you the kills and the gore, and people hoot and holler. But and you know, I'll do some hooting and hollering during that. But I do like when there are characters I'm kind of invested in, you know, that care about one way or the other, whether I, you know, come to hate them or want to root for them. Right. I want to be invested in them one way or the other. And I think we got that going on, and that's you know, that's part writing and that's, you know, performance. And I think we can do that. So I think that's what's most exciting about it for me, and the effects too. I mean, you know, it's not. It is a brutal film, and it's all you know, practical effects. And our effects artist is Jeremy Sillenfriend of Monster in My Closet Effects, and Lee Forst, and both of them are just absolutely brilliant. So,
yeah, I think one of the things we really wanted to do was, you know, I think a lot of times horror films have a poor ratio of one thing to another. For instance, you'll have major kills, a lot of blood and guts, but you won't have anybody you root for, any good acting, any good dialogue, Or you might have the second, the converse of that, where you have, good acting and good dialogue and maybe even some good characters, but the kills are horrible. The thing we wanted to do with Time's Up really is have the perfect ratio of everything, so that it's not a movie where you can just watch it and go, well, that had some good kills, but I tell you, that thing really sucked, Which you get a lot of that in horror, where it's like, yeah, it's bloody, but I wouldn't watch that again, sort of thing. And that's what we don't want to do. We want to have the perfect balance of everything, so that we're making a good movie that satisfies the audience on a visceral level in terms of being gory and sadistic and brutal, like a good slasher should be, but not neglect the things that are also important in storytelling, which are character, plot, theme, that sort of thing is very important, because you have to remember, when you're making a movie, you are telling a story. You're not just using it. You shouldn't just be using it as a vehicle for murder. There should be some story in there somewhere too. And, that sometimes is lost, especially when you get to the lower budget horror stuff. So we want to make sure there's everything in there with Time's Up, and that it's satisfying on multiple levels. And that's sort of our mission in doing this, is to make a quality slasher film that delivers.
It's definitely lost when it comes to budget. There's a lot of these, kind of indie slashers or horror movies, don't have the money to, obviously they're, get big names, but even kind of entice just good actors to do the project, and then there's groups that don't care if there's good acting. And we've gotten very lucky with the actors who have kind of felt the fever and joined on with us. Very lucky to have people we have. I mean, they're good actors, and I'm a bit of an acting snob, so I'm very, very pleased with the cast here. Like some of the bigger budget movies, maybe they don't have good casts either. It's certainly not due to lack of budget. It's kind of cast based on who has the most, Instagram followers or TikTok. Although I guess that's, going away.
Yeah.
Cast for the wrong reason. At least, artistically the wrong reasons.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, also when you think about horror movies that stand the test of time, the ones that are come to your mind, like Nightmare on Elm Street or Black Christmas or Halloween or whatever, these films all had something that was a little bit transcendent. You know what I mean?
Right.
They had good characters. They had good writing. They weren't just about special effects and stuff. I mean, it had that and other stuff too. And that's what makes a film memorable. Or Scream is another great example if you want to go a little more modern, the first Scream movie. So that's sort of what we're aiming for, is to make a movie that people will remember, not just a movie that you'll watch one time and kind of regret that you had to sit through it, because there are many things when you go on Amazon or when you go on, one of these streaming services, you go through these lists, and there are movies that are made almost intentionally to be bad. There's no other way to
Tubi, man. Tubi has some good movies on there, but
yeah.
Sometimes I'll just sit on Tubi for like an hour. I'll just go on there just to be like, where did these things come from? Who made these things? Who paid for these things to be made? Like, did they know while they were making them how bad this movie was going to be?
That's something that gets me. Is it's like, for some of these things, you just read the log line, like the little brief summary, and you go, well, that's terrible. Like, that's a horrible movie. It's a horrible idea. But someone actually made it, and you wonder, like, do they do it because they want to just make a horrible movie because it's kind of cool, to watch something bad and laugh at it? But it's like, what a waste of time and resources to actually go into something going, I'm going to make a bad movie that people will make fun of.
Right.
I just don't, that doesn't click in my mind. And maybe I just don't get it, but I don't.
But, there must be people out there watching Bikini Beach, Massacre 3, because, I don't know who they are, but It's got to be.
You wonder, are they watching it for the bikinis, the beach, or the massacre?
I don't know.
Great
Because
question.
it's certainly not for the good writing, right?
I mean, I can see, you know, in the 80s, Bikini Beach Massacre 3, like how that makes it out, because like there's no internet, there's no free porn, you know, so that was you fulfillment of you know the skin. But nowadays, like, you know, you know, what's happening? Who's if you're watching these movies, please reach out to me, because I want to.
And something I've learned, and I think Damian has pointed this out, I've made the mistake before, is I'll like make up phony titles for like what I think of as a bad movie, like, you know, X, Y, and Z versus whatever. I can't say it because what'll happen is I'll realize that was actually a movie somebody made.
Oh no.
And so I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding? I was totally joking when I said, you know, whatever versus whatever part 2, you know.
I made up Bikini Beach Massacre in my head, but there's a good chance it does actually exist.
Probably so, yeah.
3.
Somewhere.
Bikini Beach Massacre 3.
We're going to go to Tubi. It's on there.
Third one. Yeah.
I don't know if Tubi still does it, but Tubi used to see, I watched a movie. What did I watch? I watched House on Sorority Row on Tubi. Even though I have it on Blu-ray, I just put Tubi on, and it was like right there. So I put on House on Sorority Row, and, you know, get a little slasher inspiration. And it ended, and it started another movie up right away, and that movie was called Chicks Dig Gay Guys. It was 2012 or 13. And I remember just like I was standing, I was like in the kitchen, and I came around and I was like, what the? And I'm like watching it, and it's like this raunchy romp, you know, you'd think it was made in the 80s, but it's like 2013. And it was like, what algorithm or whatever did they have that this is what's playing after House on Sorority Row?
Yeah.
It was almost Tubi's version of our watching. It was like, we want to make sure you're still watching, so we're going to put on something the opposite, the most ridiculous title.
Oh yeah.
Have.
I've never heard of that. Did you finish?
That's one of those things I would.
What were you gonna-
I did not finish that movie. No. It was, you know, while it was only like I'd have to check the year. It was pretty recent, but I feel like that's not a movie that would be very welcome made in 2020.
No. Yeah, I get that feeling as well. I also wanted to ask, I'll ask both of you this, because this is something that happens to me often. I don't think I've ever talked to anyone about it. Do you ever just watch a really good movie on something like a streaming service and then just decide, I got to stop for the night? Because when you watch the next thing and it's horrible, it just like destroys the evening. Have you ever had that experience? Because I have that experience often. If I watch a really good movie and I'm like, oh God, this is cool. And then I go searching for other stuff and I'm like, no, I better stop while I'm ahead, because this is only going to get worse.
Can't find anything that compares.
I have that often with horror films, because if you get a good one, like a good new one, you know, you don't want to risk destroying the rhythm that you got going by watching something that turns out.
Has an animal made an appearance?
Has
Is there an animal with you, Heather?
Wait, what?
Your box is very. Oh, I thought I saw an animal in the background.
No, that's just me, Damian.
It might be my
Never
shadow.
mind. It was poltergeist or something.
Do I?
Do you have an animal in
No.
No, I think what you were seeing was Heather's. You were seeing Heather's hand when she had it up like this. It looked.
I didn't mean to scare you. Your boxes are very
possessed.
small up at the top of the screen.
Oh. I could be possessed though. I might
Cat
have
or something. I'm not sure.
a spirit attached to me or something. So just it'll be all good. Never know.
Your
I
spirit
understand.
animal.
Spirit animal.
Movie that you've seen before, you're seeing the first time.
Say that again.
LC, your question, is it a movie that you're just seeing for the first time?
Yes, generally so. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like when I am like surprised at how much I like a movie that I'm like seeing for the first time, I'll usually, more often than not, I've been like, wow, yeah, let's keep watching stuff, and I'm like, oh man,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
there's a few really good ones. You just gotta cut it off there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I deal with often. I mean, every so often I'll also just kind of delve into newer horror, even the bigger budget stuff, just to see how it is. And sometimes I'm really pleasantly surprised. Like there have been some really good ones. I mean, Hereditary, for instance, I didn't think it would be as great as it was.
Hmm.
I didn't know what to expect. I saw the trailer and I thought, oh, it's a creepy kid movie. And I have like kind of a pet peeve about creepy kid movies because I've seen so many of them.
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, it's a creepy kid movie. But then I started watching it and I was like, wow, this is not a creepy kid movie. This is actually really, really deep and layered. And
What is your favorite creepy kid movie?
mine.
What is,
Hmm.
or you have a pet peeve. So, is there any creepy kid movie that you like?
Do you
Um,
recommend?
that's a tough question. None are coming to. Well, The Omen. Yeah, The Omen. I like that.
Heather, do you have a favorite creepy kid movie?
That's what I was saying was The Omen. Can y'all hear me?
No,
Yeah, I was
I
saying
can,
also.
Heather.
Have you
Uh,
seen? Go ahead.
I was just saying Damien from The Omen. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Damien. Oh, that's right. It's Damien. Oh my God, look
With an
out,
E, yeah.
Damien with an
Have you
E.
seen? Have you seen The Children from 2008?
Yes, that is
I
a
have.
very, very, very good movie. They, well, I
It's a
don't want to
great
give
movie,
it away, but
and it's
isn't
a
it a
Christmas
remake?
movie too.
Isn't it a remake too?
That one's not a remake. There is another movie called The Children, but
So
they're
this one is the
really
remake.
unrelated. Yeah.
Would you consider it a foreign
Did you ever
film?
see a movie?
Like, where was it? I know it wasn't
Well, it
American.
is British.
No.
It's British. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
So it would count.
it's foreign. Foreign.
Did you ever see an Italian movie? And I think the rough translation of it is "How could you shoot a child?" or something. One of those weird Italian
Yeah.
things. But
That has a remake.
yes, that's what I was thinking of when you said remake. That's actually a good, pretty interesting, creepy one. The original, I've never seen the remake, but where the people wind up on the island full of children who are
Yeah.
all gone homicidally insane, and these adults are trying to escape. And there's a great ending at a boat dock.
Yeah.
Um,
And him with the Uzi.
yeah, and he just plows.
That
Yeah,
movie is it's not so good. Uh, it's very slow and boring.
it is slow.
It's kind of a myth. I mean, that is not my favorite. I mean, I'm not, I'm not looking for people to, oozy down children. But that whole island, the whole location, the whole setting, and there's a lot there, to play with and to use. And both movies blew it.
Yeah, it's a lot. It great potential for creeping out.
Yeah,
But yes, you are correct. It is kind of slow. I mean, I didn't find it super boring, but it definitely is on the slower side. I mean, I'm the kind of guy, if I'm engaged in something, I can watch a 3-hour movie perfectly fine. But if I'm not engaged, it's tedium. It's the ultimate tedium. If you're going
yeah,
to go 3 hours, you better have something that's interesting. And that doesn't mean fast paced. It can have like a deliberate pace, but it just has to be interesting.
That's not
Like Hereditary, for instance, was very, yeah, that was very, deliberately paced, but
yeah.
interesting. Midsummer was maybe a little slow for my taste,
hmm
but I didn't dislike it. I didn't dislike it as much as others did, but
I
I
like
certainly.
Hereditary a lot. Great acting. I could probably lose 25 minutes on it and be okay. But it reminded me of one of my favorite movies. I felt it was like a distant cousin with Polanski's kind of The Tenant.
Yeah.
And I know Roman Polanski. I'm sorry. I liked the movie before I knew about it, so I still like the movie.
I still.
And Polanski has done.
That's all. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying that Polanski has done some interesting films. It's one of those things where you have to separate the skeezy creep from the work. At least for me.
He's the main guy in that too.
He is the main guy.
He's likable.
He's not. He was never a bad. I mean, Chinatown. He's creepy as hell in Chinatown for the one scene he's in. But yeah, I mean, I know Damon might have a different opinion about it, but I love The Ninth Gate, which is another Polanski, horror film, if you want to call it that, sort of Euro horror, which I love that movie. Rosemary's Baby is one of my all-time favorite books, and they made it into a very extraordinarily faithful adaptation. So yeah, I mean, Polanski has that way of coming at, and that's what I'm talking about, like, Ari Aster. The reason I admire somebody like that so much is, like Polanski, they kind of have a way of coming at things sideways. It's they come at it from a way, this is the Ari Aster version of this kind of movie. This is the Roman Polanski version of this kind of movie. And when you have a director who is really good, you can tell them their films from other people's films. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And I admire that. To me, that's the greatest compliment you could throw a director, is to say that is a Quentin Tarantino movie, or that is a Martin Scorsese movie. Just by looking at it, you know who that artist is.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Well, I think y'all are going to do.
Say that again, Heather?
I said, because it sets them apart from everyone. But I think that y'all are going to do a really good job of that with y'all's film. So you're at the great cast.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Yeah,
it's gonna be awesome.
It'll be about half as long as a Polanski or Aster movie.
That's true. Yeah, it's not going to be 3 hours. That's for sure.
Even if it's bad, you can get out of there quick.
Yeah. It won't be bad. Y'all are gonna do great.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. Yeah. Damien's just being a card over there.
I'm just covering all our bases.
He's being a joker over there.
Mm-hmm.
We know Damian never jokes about anything.
It's true. Except my hair. I'm getting a haircut tomorrow. So.
Good.
Thank you. Well, Heather, anything else? I mean, I don't know. Like, we wound up on Polanski and Tubi.
So this is the thing with us. We always come on the shows to talk about Time's Up, and we wind up being movie geeks, horror movie geeks.
I think it's
talking about these obscure movies that we love.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk horror movies. I mean, if you want to,
you want anything else? Do you have any other questions or anything, or you want us to quiz you, or you got any other topics you want to discuss?
I was gonna ask if y'all had any other future upcoming projects that y'all wanted to discuss, or talk about favorite movies. I don't know.
Well,
whatever.
Sure. Yeah, well, the top project I think Damian and I are both excited about is Time's Up, because we're so deeply involved in it. But I have a slasher film that I shot not long ago called Butcher's Bluff, which will be coming out next year. And I'm on the set of a movie right now, shooting in Indiana and Ohio, a movie called On Location. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. And I have another book coming out in November, which will be my second book. Grim War, a collection of short stories, was my first book. Okay. So that's what I'm looking at. Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah. The movie that LC is shooting right now, I am a producer on, and I'll make a little appearance. Maybe you don't know. You'll have to watch and see.
Possibly.
In very soon-ish, a movie I filmed, which was delayed by all the fun that 2020 has brought. Wrong Turn. That'll be out in 2021, probably earlier than later. It's kind of a reboot of the Wrong Turn franchise, which doesn't mean remake, just means kind of trying to pick up the pieces some of the lesser sequels have left lying around and trying to make a good movie.
Right.
But that's pretty exciting. It's very different from any of the other entries in the Wrong Turn movies, if anyone's familiar with those. It's got a great cast, and it was a pretty big production. Mike Nelson's the director of that. He's awesome. Love him.
Who has been a great supporter for Time's Up.
Yeah, he's a wonderful supporter. He messaged me, contributed, and he's really someone who has become a favorite of mine on the planet. So I'm looking forward to Wrong Turn, and that's it. I don't know what. There's other things that I would have been filming or I was supposed to start filming that this year is kind of like sent spiraling all over the place. So I don't even can't keep track of them anymore. I'm just kind of focused on the Time's Up business and then those other things. There was a sequel we were supposed to start filming this fall, which has been like pushed. The sequel to a kind of an 80s slasher film. So this is like 80 years later, however long it's been. But I mean, that was really fun. That was a fun thing that came to me, and I was happy to do it, but it's been delayed. So, yeah. I mean, I could talk about the delays and odd things that 2020 has pushed off for a couple hours, but I don't think that's very interesting.
Well, hopefully those delays will.
I second that.
Thank you.
And hopefully those will come to an end, and y'all can get back to that after y'all are finished with Time's Up.
Safely, yes.
Definitely.
But, yeah. Well, I know that the movie is, and that I'll be joining soon, has taken all the precautions, and they're like,
yes,
super safe over there.
Yes. What's great about this sort of post-COVID or pandemic sort of shooting is the Screen Actors Guild and has been great about maintaining set health, on-set health and sanitation and stuff. And they're really working hard to make sure nobody gets sick on film sets. So it's a very different experience to be on a film set now than it was last year. But that's great because it keeps everyone healthy. And so far they've had a pretty damn good track record. So it's looking like, films are getting rolling again. And it's not, like I said, I just did 2 in a row. So I'm doing 2 in a row. I did one and I'm doing this one now. So things are starting to pick up. The first part and the middle of 2020 was difficult.
Yeah.
Because everything shut down in the film industry, film and television, everything. I mean, theaters are still shut down. Broadway, they're still trying to figure out how to do that, but we're getting there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I don't want to waste too much more of y'all.
Horror movie, Heather.
My favorite horror movie.
What is your favorite horror movie?
I really like My Bloody Valentine, the original, but it depends on my mood. I kind of go back and forth. I like Black Christmas, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right. You can't give one good answer.
Yeah.
I-
You put you hit the nail on the head there, Heather. It's whatever the mood is. That's me too.
Yeah.
But
But
if you had to, oh,
what is
you
your
had to
favorite?
answer. If you have to answer, LC.
If I had to answer what's my favorite, well, you know the answer. I always say it because it's my go-to answer, and it's probably true. The Exorcist
It's a great
is
one.
my favorite horror movie.
I've seen that.
You know, it's just I always go back to it, so it's my go-to answer. Damian Maffei,
What?
what's your favorite horror movie?
Black Christmas,
Nice. Y'all got some
1974.
Is
Yes.
there really any other Black Christmas? I mean, is there really? I mean, I know there are, but you know, they can't compete.
They made a kind of a very pretty, sleazy slasher film that was called Black Christmas, which I've come to accept over the years. It's very pretty looking.
Are you talking about the one where Billy had jaundice?
Yes.
Yeah, that
Does
very odd.
have Andrea Martin in it. So, I mean, kudos for that. And it's got kind of a cool cast. Mary Elizabeth Winstead's in it. I love her.
What's interesting about that movie is no matter how someone is killed, whether they're stabbed or shot or whatever, they always just kind of explode like a big blood blister. It's like the scene in the car. I always go back to where the guy gets his throat cut or whatever, and then this windshield is just shot with blood.
Yeah.
It's like, how is that? What's in his throat? Projectile blood splatter.
I'd like to know.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Heather.
Thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all's time. It really means a lot to me. And I'll be sure and get this posted up in the next day or two. And I hope that y'all meet all your goals, all your stretch goals for the movie. I'm really excited about it. And I'm going to be pushing about it on my page as much as I can without being annoying. So thank y'all.
No, we appreciate your support, Heather. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Well, y'all have a great night.
All right.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye-bye.
All
Good
right.
talking to you.
Thanks.
Bye.